Hey, it's Greg Otten here with MaritimeGardening.com. Not a big fan of this sort of selfie style video, but I had a viewer question and I just wanted to do a very quick video speaking to it this evening, and I just didn't feel like hauling out the tripod and making a big production out of things. So let me show you what the question was about. So I've got a apple tree here. And this is one of those 5 trees. There's 5 different varieties of apple spliced onto it. Well, there was. The central leader was Red Delicious, which I think is anything but. I would call it Red Atrocious, where apples are concerned. I know there's some people who are like, what? Those are my favorite apple, and my grandfather's grandfather ate Red Delicious apples, and yeah, well, good for you, but they're terrible. So anyway, that was the central leader, and I got rid of it because they're terrible. And I can't remember what the other ones are. There's Honeycrisp on here, I know that. It's one of the lower branches. And one of the viewers noticed some electrical tape on one of the branches here, so I'm going to speak to that. But I'm also going to speak to the whole 5-tree issue, because you see these things for sale and you think, what a great idea, I get 5 different kinds of apples on one tree. The problem with them is pruning. You got like one branch for each variety, and if the tree shifts or leans, or there's just some sort of issue with it, you really can't prune it for shape or whatever, because certain branches just have to stay on the tree no matter what. You can't remove them. So when you've got a tree that is all one thing, you can prune it to get the sort of optimal shape. Let me just show you over here. This is a northern spy. It's all one thing. So I can sort of prune it to have a nice sort of open shape, so I can get optimal light and air and that sort of thing. And if there's a branch that's just somewhere it doesn't need to be, or a branch that's in the wrong place, I can just remove any branch I want. So I can really do the best by the tree, and prune it for shape and all that sort of stuff. I have not pruned this for a number of years because it hasn't been producing, so I just left it alone. So that's why it's a little bit asymmetrical at this point in time. But because it's produced a bit this year, I will do a tiny bit of pruning on it next March. Anyway, back to this tree here. So it's got a sort of funny shape because there's certain branches I just have to leave on, and in some regards that's good because they get long and horizontal, and horizontal branches tend to be fruit bearing, so that's all good. But I was pruning this one just this past spring, or March, and right here, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I really screwed up, and I stripped I can see the shape. There's a large wound. There was a branch coming up the center. It was leaning into these other branches. It was just in the wrong place. I needed to open up the center of the tree, and that's a good piece of advice for just about any sort of fruit-bearing tree, is to open them up a bit. And the way when I pruned this, I damaged the tree, and I opened up almost halfway around this bit of bark. So I've done a lot of reading about people that do splicing different, grafting and graft unions, and you look at a lot of blogs and different sources like that. People will talk about, there's all kinds of products that people will speak to for graft unions. And a graft union is basically a wound in a tree, right? You're taking a branch off one tree and tying it into another tree, and then making them sort of get along, right? Almost like putting a finger back onto if someone cuts their finger, gluing it back on, sort of thing. So I consider a graft like a wound, and people talk about all these different products you can use for that. And on some of the blogs, people just say, just use cheap old dollar store vinyl electric tape, it works fine. So I was sort of in a desperate situation. I'd really injured this badly. I didn't want to just leave it exposed. So, I mean, it wasn't broken. It still had its strength and integrity, but I really opened up the bark. So I just decided to put some electrical tape around it. And you can see there's an apple right there, and there's one over there, right, and there's one right there. There's about, I don't know, 6 apples on this section of the tree. And they don't look any better or worse than the apples on the other part of the tree. So in my view, it's worked. Now, everything I've read said that some people say you can remove it the following winter, to just leave it alone until the following, let all the healing underneath happen over the summer, and by winter it should be, the bark should be thick enough that you can remove the tape without damaging the bark. I've also read that it just falls off if you leave it alone, just from being exposed to light and the elements and so on. And I'm inclined to do that because it's just easier. And I mean, if I were to see the diameter expanding and this sort of choking it off, yeah, I'd remove it. But my guess is that as the tree grows, this will just bust off, and it'll sort of come off the way it needs to come off. I've even seem to recall a video, an interview with Paul Gauci, the sort of semi-famous subject of the Back to Eden gardening film. I watched a video of his on YouTube, and someone made the video. He was talking about graft unions, and he says it just comes off on its own. And he doesn't even have as severe a winter where he is as I do. So if it comes off for him, it's probably going to come off for me. Of course, I don't know how many wraps you're supposed to put on or whatever. I mean, it's just an experiment. But at least stage 1 of the experiment has worked. The tree's healthy. The leaves are healthy. Everything about that side of the tree is healthy, and I really damaged I really messed it up bad, the bark. And I'm not just the bark, the cambium layer, I really messed up the food, the water, the energy delivery system of the tree. And this stuff seems to have saved it. So just because it goes with my general philosophy for gardening, I'm going to leave that tape on there, and hopefully the tree and the elements just sort it out for me. So we'll see how it goes. I'll re-examine in January, and I'll have a look at it in February, and so on and so forth, and I'll do a follow-up video later on. Anyway, just a short video answering that question. I'm going to try to do more videos like this where someone asks a good question in the comment section of a video. I'll do a short video speaking to it. My view is that if someone has a question, there's probably other people with a question, a similar kind of question, so why not share the answer with everyone? So that's the answer is yes, that's electrical tape, that's what it is. It's just the cheapest kind of dollar store electrical tape you can get. It cost me $1 or 50 cents, or it might have cost $1 for 3 rolls, I can't remember. And there's a wide range of products you can use for graft unions or for injuries to trees. But this seems like the cheapest possible thing you could do. Moreover, the black tape attracts heat, which, from what I've read, improves the healing process. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Thus far, the results seem quite good, and it's consistent with my general. If you've been watching, the way I like to go about my gardening: cheap, cheap, and cheap. And easy, right? It just comes off on its own. At least that's what it's supposed to do. We'll see how it works. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please like, share, subscribe. And check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. Until next time, get out there, get at it. Have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.